Hey, y'all need a break? Listen to these stories from r/EntitledParents. Psycho EP breaks into a house, holds a girl at gunpoint, and then lies to the police. Okay. 1. This didn't happen to me, but a friend of mine, so I'm writing it in the third person as I heard it. 2. I know how fake the title sounds, but she showed me security footage of the event that transpired and yup. It was real. It actually happened. So basically, let me set the stage. I'm gonna be using fake names to protect identities, of course. Person this happened to: Elizabeth, Elizabeth's mother; Christina, entitled parent; Karen, entitled teen; Darren. This happened around 4 years ago. Basically, Christina had a computer that she let her neighbor's kid use from time to time as long as Christina was there to watch them. If she was gone, then she would tell Elizabeth, who was either 16 or 17 at the time, that they weren't allowed to use the computer. But usually if Christina wasn't home, neither was Elizabeth. Now here's a key fact: before they go out, they would always lock their doors. But at one point, they thought they kept forgetting to lock their front door. So one day, Elizabeth was actually home alone because Christina was at work and they don't allow kids where she works, hospital, and Elizabeth was on vacation, so she didn't have any school. She hears a knock at the door and answers it. Who's there? But Karen and her demon spawn Darren. This is the conversation that follows. Karen: hello. Darren wants to use your computer. Elizabeth: sorry, but my mom's not home right now. Come by later and see if she's home then. Karen: I know she said we're not allowed to use the computer if she's not there, but you're here. So you can watch us. Elizabeth: I'm sorry, but my mom said that I can't let you in. Darren: come on. Your mom doesn't have to know. Elizabeth: I'm sorry, but no means no. And I don't want to get in trouble if my mom comes home and he's still playing on it. Just come by later. Karen let out this exasperated groan and just dragged Darren away. Now you would think that's the end of it, but you saw the title. We have 3 criminal charges here. So about 10 minutes later, Elizabeth hears the door open and thinks her mom is home early or something. But when she goes downstairs to say hi, she's instead greeted with Karen going from a 1 to a 100 and pointing a effing gun at her. Here's what follows. Karen: you're going to let my angel play on your computer now. Elizabeth, keeping her arms up and trying to de-escalate the situation: calm down. Okay. Put the gun down and take your kid to the computer. They later found that the gun wasn't actually loaded and belonged to the husband, who divorced her once he found out what she did, but when someone is pointing a gun at you, I don't think you'll want to call their bluff. Elizabeth then decided to go back up to her room, but Karen grabbed her. Karen: I'm not effing done with you, brat. Where do you keep the duct tape? This is around the point I thought that she was making up the story and she showed me what happened on her security camera. I would show her footage, but she wasn't comfortable with me showing footage. So Elizabeth shows Karen where the duct tape is and Karen, I kid you not, ties Elizabeth to a chair and tapes her mouth shut. She said it had been hours before her mom showed up and by then, they were gone. They called the police immediately and when they confronted Karen about it, she said this. Karen: that's my house. They're just renting it out. Yup. She bald-faced lied to the police. All it took was showing them the security footage and she was then charged with breaking and entering, making a terroristic threat, pointing a gun at Elizabeth, and wrongful imprisonment. I can't remember what happened to the son, but I think he was put in juvenile detention since he was 16. It honestly astonishes me how psychotic this entitled parent was that she felt it was worth it to break and enter and wrongfully imprison a 16 to 17-year-old girl just so her kid could use a freaking computer. I wish I was making this up because this is insane. Edit: I wasn't expecting this to pick up so much steam. I do want to say a few things. The people who don't believe it, I can't blame you. This is very much a story that's asking for you to take my word for it. And I'm not gonna ask you to take my word for it because I really don't care if you believe me or not. But I do want you to consider that, as I said, this took place 4 years ago, so if there are any holes in my story, they are most likely details I forgot with time. I am only human after all. The people who believe it, there's a surprising amount of you who believe this story. Honestly, even while typing this I said to myself, I still can't believe this actually happened. Because it was escalated in an unbelievable way. I underestimated my mother. I haven't been on Reddit lately due to a personal matter with my girlfriend. Her only remaining grandparent caught COVID and was hospitalized. We left town together and drove a couple hundred miles to go and support my girlfriend's family. Because girlfriend and I have been together for so long, I'm rather close to her family. Her parents often joke that one day I'll be their son-in-law whether I like it or not. But while my girlfriend and I were away, my mother found out where my sister and future brother-in-law live now. I kind of expected that to happen at some point. But I figured after saying we were disowned that maybe my mother would leave us alone. But evil Mama Bear will always be evil Mama Bear, won't she? While hundreds of miles away from home, I got warning from my cousin that visits my mother that she'd found out some time ago where my sister was living by spotting her at the local supermarket and following her car home. Apparently evil Mama Bear just didn't say anything to anyone that she knew for a while, but let it slip to my cousin that she knew, and was giddy about getting her daughter back, as she supposedly put it. My sister is a creature of habit and tends to go shopping at the same places and times weekly. And our mother knows that. So her tracking down my sister this way isn't all that surprising. But sis never goes out without her fiancé, future brother-in-law, anymore. And he told me he's always packing a taser now. Apparently evil Mama Bear waited till I wasn't around to make her move. She's craftier than I gave her credit for. I phoned my sister that I'd heard from our cousin that evil Mama Bear knows where she lives, and to be ready. And the following day evil Mama Bear showed up at Sis's front door with flowers, and of all things, a holy Bible. She rang the doorbell several times and Sis did not answer. So she resorted to crying and banging on the door to make a scene. And finally future brother-in-law answered. And he had both a wireless camera nearby on a table, and a police-style body cam that I gave them to record with just in case this happened. As soon as future brother-in-law opened the door evil Mama Bear threw her arms out like she was gonna hug and kiss him, only to pull back as soon as she realized my sister wasn't the one to open the door. She looked completely stunned to be face to face with future brother-in-law for a moment before finally speaking. "Mom, I'm looking for my daughter. Please let me see her." FBIL, I don't think so. Whatever you want to say, you can say from here. Mom, please. I have to talk to her now. This is all a huge misunderstanding. Sis emerges from another room. What I understand, Mom, is that you are a racist who hates my fiancé, demanded I abort my baby and then tried to attack me. Then you disowned me by saying you no longer have any children. What about that was a misunderstanding? Mom holds up the Bible, please. I wasn't myself then. I've done a lot of soul searching and gone to church. I've found God. Come home. You can live in my bedroom. I'll sleep in the basement. I'll even let your boyfriend move back in too. Total lie. My cousin would have told me if she was going to church. She hates church. She'd probably start burning alive if she even set foot in one. And from what my cousin also told me, she's never once stopped referring to future brother-in-law by racial slurs. Sis, oh. What about how you referred to us all as racial slur, and then broke Craggle's windows with rocks that had more racial slurs written all over them? Mom, I did what I had to do. Craggle ruins everything. Sis, Craggle didn't ruin anything. He just finally opened my eyes to what kind of person you really are, and what person I let you turn me into mother. Mom, don't you mean mommy? Sis, no, I mean mother. I'm never calling you mommy again. Mom starts bawling and holding up the Bible again, but the Bible says to honor thy father and thy mother. FBIL, yeah, and it also says not to provoke your children to wrath. I've never read the Bible and even I know that. Have you even read it? Or did you just buy it along with those flowers on the way here? Mom, but the Bible says. FBIL, not to lie, steal, commit adultery or bear false witness. How many of those are you guilty of, huh? Sis, all of them. Mom throws the flowers and Bible onto the ground. It's Craggle, isn't it? He's turned you against me. Everyone is against me. Said while stamping her foot. Sis, Craggle didn't do anything to do that. It was all you. Then, I kid you not, my mother let out a loud noise that sounded a lot like a "ree," and then proceeded to lunge at Sis. But future brother-in-law intercepted her and had her pinned on the floor in seconds pretty easily as she's not a big woman. FBIL, honey, call the police. Mom, you can't do this to me. I am your mother. You're supposed to love me. From there on it was just some repetitive nonsense while future brother-in-law held her down until police arrived. Predictably, as soon as they showed up, evil Mama Bear started screaming. Mom, help. This racial slur is attacking me for just wanting to see my daughter. He's brainwashed her. Do something. Sis, I do not want her near me. Evil Mama Bear struggled a bit more and the cops had to restrain her. She ended up screaming at them that they were all racial slurs, too. Which got her a shiny new pair of bracelets and a frog march into a police car. The police got a copy of the camera footage and then carted evil Mama Bear off to jail. Still waiting to find out how that one is gonna go down. Future brother-in-law has mentioned possibly wanting to go after her for a hate crime because of the racial slurs she used. Sis threw the flowers into the trash. And future brother-in-law dropped the Bible that she'd brought with her into a church donation bin. He said it looked like the kind you'd find in a department store book rack anyway. I still can't do a lot because I'm not at home. But sister and future brother-in-law said that they are gonna file for their own restraining order soon. TLDR edit, evil Mama Bear schemed to get my sister back on her side by showing up at her apartment with a Bible and faking being religious. Got called out by future brother-in-law and went berserk, then got arrested. Edit 2. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers. The little S that ruined my Halloween. This isn't as much entitled parents as it is entitled kids and completely incompetent parents. So, in my house, Halloween is like advanced Christmas. We aren't just into it, we are it. My dad starts setting up well over a month in advance, and we have some stuff, to my chagrin, up all year. The whole property all the way around has hundreds of decorations. So, this year my dad drove Uber an hour to get the last Jack Skellington animatronic available in our entire state. It cost around $300, but he had to have it to match our Sally by the entrance. So, backstory out of the way. So while my dad's out there amongst the animatics giving tours and talking with our literal professional clown friend who's helping out, I'm on candy duty. So, a large group of kids comes to the door and immediately knocks Jack over because they are all wanting to crowd and not wait in line. But it wasn't damaged yet. They then almost knocked over Sally as I put up Jack. Eventually he's standing up and I can give them their candy. So, I don't even get a chance to say take two or take a handful. This kid just takes a handful, then another. I tell him, okay, that's enough, and he takes another handful saying, wow, this is so much. I once again tell him, that's enough, as I take the bowl and move it to the other side of the door closer to the other boys. He reaches for a fourth and I move his hand away. Finally, all kids have candy, everything's fine, right? I can finally give the two little princesses who showed up their treats too now. Well, I guess I was wrong. As I'm reaching the bowl out to the girls, I see the kid grab Jack and knock him forward. On purpose. It feels like slow motion as he tips forwards and pop off with his head. Jack is laying on the ground beheaded and I'm just standing there shocked as I see this kid walk away. The poor girl was trying to ask if she can take two, but I was so shocked it took me a while to reply and was awkward. I still feel bad because it wasn't the girl's fault. I wish I could have told them a cheerful, happy Halloween. After I give the girls their candy, I straighten up Jack and assess the damage. And yep, he's dead. I mean dead, not his usual undead self. Wires had a completely clean break, the plastic did not. So no hope of twisting the wires back or fitting the head on. After a minute I go to the group of parents and ask if they are the parents of the group. They say yes, and I tell them how a kid purposely knocked over Jack while he is currently punching our inflatables. They all immediately knew which kid it was. And said something around, yeah, he can be a little rough, in a very boys will be boys, dismissive way. Later I found, according to my dad, the kid was still kicked and punching the inflatables after I left, as the dad stood there and the mom said, stop, once, but not actually doing anything. I eventually found my dad and told him what happened. To say he looked like someone kicked his puppy as he held Jack's head would be an understatement. I told him he can talk to the parents since they are still here, they might listen to an adult man more than a petite woman. But he couldn't find whose parent was whose, as none of the parents stepped up to take responsibility for their kid, so he didn't say anything. He's still been kinda down and I've been off. It's his favorite day and I'm so upset that parents will just stand there and not even care and think they shouldn't even be sympathetic that their kid destroyed someone's expensive property because they are a spoiled brat. This Halloween has been a bad year. Entitled mother wants me to apologize and go home because she doesn't want to wash the dishes and clothes. Father flies back and releases hell on her. So a little background. I left home after my aunt confronted my mother about the lack of punishment on my brother for filming me change and sharing that video with his friends. Mother calls police on aunt, and now I am currently in a youth home which no one knows where it is except my aunt. My family had cut contact with her and my brother. So into this story. I have been going low contact with my mother and no contact other than leaving my brother on red. My mother has been spamming my phone telling me she will let me go home if I apologize for making a scene and to apologize to the rest of my family for making them go through this. I ignored her. She later calls me and here is how it goes. Come home. Your tantrum has gone too far. You need to apologize and get a grip and come home. Me, just listens, no reply. I said come home and apologize now. Me, no. I cut the call. She calls back after 15 minutes. I pick up and listen for a while until this hits. Come home now. I don't want to wash dishes and do laundry and cook while I work. It's tiring. You used to do all that when your grandma was not here, and she's not here, so you have to do it. Me, silent. Do you hear me, you ungrateful child? You better. I cut her off. Me, no. You listen to me and you remember. I will never go home to you and I will never go near you and him ever again. Take this as courtesy notice. I am no longer your daughter, you will never see me or hear from me again. I hang up and blocked her number. 2 days later, my aunt messaged me and told me my dad was at her door. I have not seen him since I was 5, after my parents got divorced on the grounds of his affair. And my family hates him for that. My aunt was pissed that he showed his face at her door. He asked nicely to know where I am and to go and see me. My aunt, of course in her fashion, laid it onto him about his affair. He took it and apologized after and asked for my whereabouts. My aunt messaged me to say if I was okay with my dad knowing where I was. I told her it would be fine if we met at a cafe or restaurant nearby. So we met today and had a nice breakfast. He asked me what was wrong and why I had run away. I thought he knew, so I said, "What do you think?" He said EM told him that I got scolded and grounded for something and was pissed, so I ran away. And it was probably teenage angst according to EM. I was effing dumbfounded. I told him that's not even close to why. I told him everything. Everything that happened after. What she did, more like didn't do, and how she reacted when I tried to tell her I felt unsafe. He was effing pissed. He was pissed for the fact that he didn't know about it earlier and for the fact EM tried to lie and get him to coerce me into going home. After the meeting he told me he was going to EM's house and confronting her. He says he will take me away with him and threatens to sue her for abuse because some of the things she did to me is clause for emotional and psychological abuse. He is also threatening to cut off my brother's education fund and transfer them for me to use. He left and I don't know what happened afterwards, but I think he is going to speak to his lawyers with me soon. Mini update. My aunt told me my mother and father have both been arrested. Apparently my father went to EM's house to tell her he isn't going to help control his child. She said he is going pull up be a good dad and get her daughter to come home so that they can be a happy family. And she added, "That's the least can do for us." My dad blew up at that comment. He said something like, "You are the one that needs to pull up and protect both your children. Not only one. And I couldn't see them because of you too." This led to a screaming match and the neighbors called the police. They came and separated both of them and took them to the station. My dad called one of his friends to bail him out and my egg donor called her sister, my other aunt, who refused to help her and bail her out. So egg donor stayed in the station overnight while my brother spent the night at the station as well. And it has also come to my attention that some of the comments on this post was right. Egg donor got a restriction order on my dad citing mental instability. He had PTSD from a work incident that happened to him when he was 25-ish. Egg donor 1. The stipulated guideline was he couldn't have contact with us unless contacted first. She never gave us his number or means to contact him. Unless it was when she passed me the phone to call him to ask him to give her more money for our children, which I don't know what happened to. Egg donor then made up lies that told us he abandoned us. I effing hope that night in jail have her a hard as slap to the face. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments.